All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. Week 8 recap is finally here, and obviously, this one's gonna line up a little differently. We both got prime time games to talk about, so obviously, gotta get it started myself with our Rams in the Thursday night game. I got to be in attendance for this one, and it was one of the more exciting games that I got to go. Now, obviously, I'm just gonna start with my Rams. I mean, look, a win against the 5-1 Vikings. Are we back, bro? I mean, is it time to start, getting back into that groove? But I mean, look, realistically, this is just, it was so relieving to see this team, to have Puka back, to have Cooper Kupp. This team is definitely so different with them, and just it breathes new life into this offense. I mean, remember something that I was talking about, Demarcus Robinson wasn't really, he was struggling getting that number one role, and now once we get him back, slotting him down to 3, at times kind of being that second option, he flourished, got a touchdown, got a couple of really nice receptions, and just what I'm talking about. This offense just looking phenomenal. And look, I know what everyone's going to talk about, the penalty at the end. I know the face mask, but I mean, let's not act like it was just that call. I mean, the refs were pretty shitty on both sides of the ball. I mean, I could call 3 specific ones on the Rams. 2 pass interferences in the red zone that weren't called, and of course a face mask on Kyren Williams that would have iced the game for the Rams. So if we're going to get into that, the Rams got receipts too. But on the Vikings side of the ball, that second half killed them. Only 6 points, 136 yards of total offense in that second half. They didn't deserve to win the way they played that second half. And that defense really looking a little lackluster to allow 30 points against a struggling Rams team.
Yeah, this is honestly, it was really quite an upset there. Obviously, like you said, the officiating, especially the last face mask call, was pretty absurd there. But honestly, this is a really good bounce back for this Rams team. Obviously, having Puka back, that really made a game changer there. And now moving on into the Sunday slate. So we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals. And let's just say the Eagles, after starting off really, really slow, they really dialed it in and they really bounced back, especially Jalen Hurts. Once again, the one thing I keep saying here, Jalen, he's got to get the pass game going, and this is exactly what he did. He was there. They were down 10-3 in the first half against the Bengals here. It would have been 13-3 if it wasn't for the missed field goal for Evan McPherson there. But they really opened up, and they really got it going down the field. Saquon is finally getting loose. No touching for Saquon, but 108 yards on the ground there, so it really did help a lot there. And Jalen Hurts, he was more comfortable in the pocket. He was making his throws a little bit. Devonta Smith was getting a little bit more active, recording a touchdown there. And this young defense of the Philadelphia Eagles, they were pretty slow against this Bengals team, like I mentioned, but towards the end, they started picking up in the second half. This is all Eagles, and this is something that I really, really want to see with Sirianni. Get in the playbook and just, be extended with it. Get into the open plays that gets Jalen Hurts more comfortable. As for the Bengals, once again, they started off I wouldn't say hot. They started off really good, holding the Eagles down with Jalen Hurts. They're containing them there. But Joe Burrow, again, this run game with him, another inconsistent run game, was not helping him at all this game right here. And then the defense, it's not helping them at all even more. This is the only reason we know how this defense this season, it's not the best, right? And Joe Burrow, he's going to have to keep clutching up for this Bengals team, and this thing we don't want to see all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles defense really surprised me in this. Obviously this was one of our disagreements. I took the Bengals. Well, in large part, once T. Higgins was announced to be out, I kind of regretted my pick, but I still expected this Bengals offense to, do a lot better, and to see the way Philly handled them. It's showing a lot of great signs, and these last 3 games have, been a phenomenal sight for the Eagles defensively and of course offensively. But moving into, arguably the upset of the season with the Ravens and the Browns. I mean, hey, Jabo, man. I mean, it's phenomenal to see him back and to see him cooking in the big year 2024, man. I mean, just overall, the Browns look dead down near the end of this game, but I mean, that last drive, obviously with Kyle Hamilton giving them a huge break, not getting that interception, which let's not dog on him. He was probably the one part of this defense that was actually, really helping this Ravens team. I mean, just overall, the rest of this defense really struggled. I mean, we're going 3 weeks in a row that Ravens defense that I've been very high on has allowed 29 points, 3 straight weeks. And, start to talk some concerns for a really high-powered defense that we've been touting for a good while. And, I mean, just, on the Browns side, one big piece that obviously we were talking about a little earlier, Cedric Tillman balling up for the 2nd week in a row, 7 catches for 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, in large part, that huge touchdown to win the game, an absolute dime by Jameis Winston. And I mean, to obviously bring it back to the Ravens, I mean, apart from, I guess, Zay Flowers once again having a pretty phenomenal game for himself, it's just a really ugly loss. And, to pair that with that Raiders loss that they had, it's with concerning losses like these in games that they really should be winning, there are going to be some concerns in how this team will be, come December, come early January.
Yeah, they're really struggling on both sides of the ball. Drop passes, Lamar not hitting his targets. It happens all the time, but it's a really nice win for Jago, man, and we really like to see him, especially the one player we really, really like. And now moving on with the Titans and the Lions, and once again, this is just another bloodbath for this Lions team. Absolutely dominating the Titans there. It was looking relatively close, Calvin Ridley on the other side of the ball. He was getting a goal for this past game there, which is essentially why it wasn't a blowout to begin with when the game first started in the first half. He already had 140 yards. He finished with the game. That's more than what he already had in the first 6 games of the season. So again, that's, I guess, the bright spot to see the Calvin Ridley's finally getting it going, but a little too late when the Titans are now 1-6. The Lions, they were just pounding the ball. Jared Goff didn't even crack 100 yards passing. 3 touchdowns though. That's how well around this whole team is. It's good defensively, especially. They're really holding it down in the second quarter. Giving me 21 points against this Titans team. It comes to the second half, the same thing. 17 in the third, and then nothing in the fourth. They were just pretty much a game over right there. And the Jahmyr Gibbs this was his game, 127 yards on the ground with a touchdown. Monty didn't have the best, but he did accumulate a touchdown there. But this was all Gibbs. That one big touchdown run that pretty much solidified the trajectory of the game. It's really good to see that this 1-2 punch with the nickname Sonic and Knuckles. It's finally looking well for them. And for Jared Goff, again, they didn't really have to do much when you have a really good team around him. And without JMO or Aiden Hutchinson, it's just really showing how deadly this Lions team can be without their main pieces.
Yeah, you mentioning, Jared Goff not getting going. That's how scary this team is, for him to go sub 100 and this run game to be able to carry him. And obviously, no doubt the best run game in the NFL. And I mean, we'll move it into, a game that I expected to be this is a lot closer than we expected with the Cardinals and the Dolphins. I mean, hey, Tua's return looked a lot better than I expected, and obviously I know the crowd got really excited to see him actually get down on a run play. I mean, that's what he's got to start doing, right? I mean, taking care of himself, and it's nice to see. I mean, he's learning little by little, but regardless, great performance for him. Great performance for Devon Achane. Obviously, you love that in fantasy to see Achane, getting a nice bounce back.
Had him on the bench, man. Had him on the bench.
And I forgot that, Nat. That's why it wasn't too good for you. But yeah, so I mean, some offensive pieces for the Dolphins really picking it up, but obviously not enough. Kyler Murray having a phenomenal game for himself. Obviously, over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I mean, arguably his best game since that Rams game. He's kind of been struggling, to match the level of the way he played in that game. And nice to see him get back. But of course, name of the game, another walk-off winner for Chad Ryland. Nice to see the Cardinals getting some value out of this kicker position. But to just take it back for the Dolphins, I think we realistically gotta see them consider maybe shutting Tua down. And I know he looked great today, but I mean, it might be just smarter to shut him down, roll out the backups, and kind of roll out the tank, and kind of start planning for a better draft position.
Yeah, look, was it nice to see Tua back, and the offense was finally getting going with him back. Sure, it's nice to see, but when you're looking at the whole trajectory of the AFC right now, with the playoff implications literally
specifically
coming into
their
November,
division.
Exactly, really packed AFC East. It's just time to put it down and just ride out the tank. And now moving it on, which comes to the next team that should just ride it out, the New York Jets and the Patriots. Let's just say here, this Jets team, it's horrible, and I gave them the benefit of the doubt. We were going over our predictions a little earlier in the season. I gave them the benefit of that, and I had them going 9-8, right? Or is it 8?
Yeah.
I had them going 9-8 with Rodgers, right? I still said they were gonna have a pretty bad season, but not this bad. Where they're 2-6 there. Sure, Rodgers, look, box score warrior wise, 17 for 28, 233 yards and 2 touchdowns. But that wasn't up to end game. The Patriots, they were really pounding the ball towards the end of the game here in the fourth quarter. They were not stopping. They wanted to win this game. The defense was on their heels, stopping this Jets team. And even according to Devontae Adams, it's not helping at all. Garrett Wilson, he had another great game, 5 catches, 113 yards. That was their main receiver. The run game for the Jets, it was nice too, with Breece Hall getting it going. My guy Braylon Allen, that I really love, getting a touchdown. It's helping this offense there. But Rodgers, you have 2 main weapons, Garrett and Wilson. and it's still not happened. I understand the defense, could have been a factor in this as well. They didn't help you at all. But when it came down to the last minute, this defense was doing all they could, and the offense was not doing anything. This Patriots team wanted to win. Jacoby Brissett, he didn't have a great game as well. Same with Drake May. He came in for a bit there. The run game wasn't good for the Patriots. It was this defense. And when you have a defense, even if you're a bad team at 2-6 as well, that defense stayed on that field, put on their heels, and they helped this Patriots team win. This is a lot to see there. And then for this Jets team with Rodgers, it's already time to put the nail in the coffin there. This Jets season, it's done.
Yeah, at 2-6, it's really tough to see. And I know you gave credit to that defense. I mean, that last drive, you can say, it was tired. They were being asked too much of them. But, you would have wanted them to be able to hold out for that. But, I mean, regardless, it's looking really rough for New York. But moving into another, this is the matchup we've been hyping up all week, the Falcons and the Buccaneers. And, for what it's worth, it absolutely lived up. I would say, Atlanta kind of, as much as this game looks pretty tight, Atlanta kind of had this game dominant. Kirk Cousins, once again, not the 500 yards he got a couple weeks ago, but definitely repeated a nice stat line again against the Bucs defense, which, we can say this Bucs defense is looking pretty struggling as of late. Todd Bowles, obviously, the defensive mind here, as a head coach, he leaves a lot to be desired as of late. And, this is something that, we kind of talked about early in the season, is he someone that we were going to bring up and, coaches that could be on the hot seat? And I think, if stuff continues, if they start dipping below 500 where they are now, we could hear that conversation. But, just keeping with the Falcons, obviously, as we know, we haven't mentioned it yet, but National Tight Ends Day in this one. Kyle Pitts with 2 touchdowns. He had a rough start to the season, but it's looking nice. That take that I'm hoping him to really start flourishing. Kirk really looks like he's bringing the best out of him. And on the Bucs side, Kate Otten, the other tight end getting into the end zone himself. But just overall, rough loss for Tampa. Really expected. Baker Mayfield, he did what he could, but just unfortunately, it just was not enough. Those 2 interceptions did prove to be crucial.
Yeah, the Bucs, they were keeping it close in the beginning. We thought this was going to be a nice game for Baker without his 2 main weapons. But again, the injuries hit him there late, and the Falcons just took over. Now moving on with the Packers and the Jaguars. Should this game have been closer than expected? No, it should not. Jordan Love, he didn't have a good game, and I'll get into an injury right here. I don't know what was going on with Jordan Love. It could have just been one of those games where he wasn't doing well, or was it just great defense for the Jaguars? Got to get your credit to the Jaguars defense. They were really, I guess you could say, they were on their ass, especially with the way they were playing for the past couple of weeks there against a very explosive Packers offense. We see the type of coach LaFleur is calling these plays with Jordan Love and the receivers around him. Like we mentioned, they don't really have a true one. They have Dobbs, they have Reed, they have Watson, they have Dontavian Wicks, right? Dontavian Wicks at the low end. But Reed, Dobbs, and Watson, they can get going at any given moment. And then Tucker Kraft at the tight end position, he's finally stepping up more, getting a little bit of targets there. But the one thing that really solidified this Packers win here towards the end game was Josh Jacobs. 25 carries, 127 yards, and 2 touchdowns. With Jordan Love struggling, the run game still helped them, and it still helped them accumulate to get this win there. So all this credit is going to go to Josh Jacobs there. But again, at crunch time, this defense of the Packers, you brought in Salah in a fluid role. We see some tweaks that still need to happen with this Packers defense, but again, they did shut down the Jaguars when they really needed to, and this was a very, very close game. Trevor Lawrence, he had a good game as well. The run game helped him with it. Brian Thomas still looking good for the rookie wideout, although he did suffer a rib injury, so it's going to be day-to-day to come before this for his upcoming matchup against the Eagles there. So, and then with Love's injury, last piece, I think this morning it was a sprained groin, so he's fine. Thank God he avoided everything. So I'm pretty sure that's gonna be day-to-day, so he should be ready for the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just great to see. A lot of us probably thought, did he re-aggravate that knee? And thankfully he didn't. Expect him to be back for obviously be back and rolling for next week. But moving into another, one of the more crucial divisional matchups here in the AFC South with the Colts and the Houston Texans. And Christian, your boy Ant Rich, I'm not gonna say your boy, our boy, you defend him a little harder, but you've been the one that loved him more. It's getting hard to defend him, bro. I know. This performance just was, look, obviously they kept in the game. Large part, I guess, Joe Flacco, that one drive that he had, was a large part of this. But, to see Ant Rich, as, the face of the franchise, to need to get out of the game for rest. It's just, truly inexplicable to want to leave a divisional game and, probably one of the most important matchups of your season like this. it's pretty hard to see. And I mean, just apart from that, that last drive was telling. Even before that, that one really horrible interception that he had, but that last drive, the way he managed that, not getting out of bounds on that wasted crucial time, and obviously eventually that ugly sack that he took to end the game. Just overall, just a lot of questions that we're leaving. I mean, sure, one good thing we can say about Indy, Josh Downs had a game. Absolutely phenomenal. That 70-yard touchdown looked great. Someone that we've really expected to see more out of. I mean, great for him, but overall nothing good for Indy, in this game. For the Texans, Mixon balled out, something that, obviously, still kind of coming back from that injury. Nice to see him really, getting himself back in the groove. And I mean, the big story for them, Stephon Diggs coming out with that knee injury. Don't remember if he was carted off or just had to be helped off, but I mean, he was a non-participant in the Monday practice, so obviously, we're hoping he's going to be good, but with him possibly out, Nico Collins out on a short week playing Thursday night, it's going to be really interesting to see how this receiver core can manage going into next week.
Yeah, Indy's really, really down there. I'm not giving up on our Rich. Yeah. I think I'm giving bro like literally the Dak level defending there. He just needs time to develop. I mean, everyone's ignoring coming into this season. He's only started 17 games. Sure, that's not a valid excuse there, but I'm not giving up on him. I know he's gonna be the future of the Colts. He just needs time to develop. I don't know how hard I'm gonna have to defend him, but I'm not giving up on him. And then now moving on to the next game with the Saints and the Chargers here. Think we can just put it down with the Rattler memes. He's not getting going with the Saints team.
I'm not putting him down just yet.
I know, exactly. But, we can blame the injuries. We can blame how this team's been playing all around after their 2 week stint there. Not too much help there. Even Kamara not being able to help in the run game, just getting 67 yards, which wasn't enough. It was a slow outing for the Saints team. And the Chargers, they really took advantage of that. Herbert, he did start a little slow, but he was really starting to pick it up there. JK, sure, he had a 57-yard game, but he did accumulate a touchdown, so it kind of did help the Chargers just a little bit. It was really the Chargers defense, and we know we like to poke fun at the Chargers defense for, being pretty mid there. But, they held their own against the Saints team, and, sure, it's the Saints. They got injuries. Their offense is not great with Rattler at the quarterback position there, but anything can still happen. It's still a professional team. This defense, they're really getting it going there. And the Land McConkey, the rookie wideout, 111 yards for 2 touchdowns. It's finally starting to see he's trying to fill into that position at the receiver. Could probably be their one here. He's been their one. He's been looking like their one for the past couple of weeks. So that's really a good sign to see that Herbert probably has, a viable weapon now. Josh Palmer, 2 catches, 72 yards. So it's still, I guess, they're on the receiving side. Still needs a little help there. Land McConkey won't be able to do anything. J.K. Dobbins on the run game, he's going to have to step it up a bit there. Not just because I have him in fantasy. No, not just because of that. Chargers on 4-3. They're still able to make a playoff run there in this run game. It's going to have to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And, hope to see that, maybe he can actually get a better tandem with Gus Edwards. But we'll move it into, one of the, I guess one of the more marquee matchups. I think we've been talking about this. I guess it looks like I'm getting a lot of the better matchups. But looking at the Bills and the Seahawks, definitely expected this to be a lot closer than it was. And Josh Allen, throwing his first interception of the season, and still, looks like it didn't matter. Just, absolute domination for the Bills. We believe it was over 400 yards in total offense. Absolutely dominated the time of possession. Just great overall. Keon Coleman, he's really looking like he's starting to, grow into his own, getting that touchdown. Just really looking nice with his connection with Josh Allen. And what I can say for Seattle, I don't know what to think of them anymore. You start 3-0, then you go to 3-3, you blow out the Falcons, and you get blown out by the Bills. They're way too inconsistent. I know I got them on Fraud Watch all the time, but they're a tough team to read. I know in large part the way they played, this defense, this offense, it's really different without DK Metcalf. I know the DK injury did have a large effect on this team, but I think in large part we got to talk about, this defense is just way too inconsistent. And to allow 31 points right here, it is kind of alarming.
Yeah, again, the Seahawks, it's pretty much really consistent in them. They did come in riddled with injuries coming to this games, which is, again, it's really a huge factor. I'm not going to let that down. But again, the 3-0 start, it's going down for that. You can't really make that up there. And now moving on with the Panthers and the Broncos. The game as expected, no bigs. But he had another great game, going 284 for 3 touchdowns there. Sure, it was the Panthers. But again, with a lot of doubt that Bo Nix gets there. And then Cortland Sutton, which is another guy that I've really, I guess you could say I hyped up this offseason to really get involved more in this past game, especially with Bo Nix at quarterback. He's finally looking adjusted here. Again, it is the Carolina Panthers, but again, you still got to give credit where it's due there. I mean, Bryce Young, the touchdown drive, first touchdown drive for the Panthers. It looked well. He looked pretty decent on that drive, so we thought it was going to be a good game. Could have been a Bryce Young redemption arc. It really wasn't. This is the same Panthers. He had a better stat line than what he usually puts up. Not really, much to say there. But again, the run game with Chuba Hubbard, how well he's been playing the past couple of weeks. He has a shitter this week, so that was also a big factor with the run game not helping as well. And then on the receiving end, Jalen Coker was the main guy, 70 yards and 1 touchdown. I think he's the rookie. I could get fact checked on that. I'm not too sure on that there, but on the receiving end, that is one bright spot there. But for the Broncos, great defense, great offense on both sides. Starting to let Bo Nix, he's finally starting to get accustomed for this Broncos team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just love to see Bo Nix succeed. I know it's the Panthers, like you said, but I mean, obviously just trending him in the right direction still. And hey, the Broncos are 5-3. They're still very much alive in the playoff picture right now. But let's move it into the Chiefs and the Raiders. Another, we would assume this would be a tight matchup. We always see the Raiders play the Chiefs good. Definitely not. I mean, I'm not going to say that the Chiefs offense is back and rolling, but we saw a lot of great signs for them offensively. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he looks like he's clicking a little better. I mean, hey, Travis Kelce finally getting a touchdown, first touchdown of the season. Pretty good to see him, finally getting in that groove. And D-Hop, wasn't the biggest factor, but he had a decent debut for what it's worth. But large part, the Chiefs defense still carrying. I mean, really keeping the distance to them, just shutting down the Raiders offense overall. And I mean, hey, they just traded for Josh Uche from the Patriots, only giving up a 6th round. I mean, this defense only gets stronger, and really expecting them to just continue this dominance. And look, for the Raiders, the defense continued to be the only reason this team was still in it. We remember a red zone interception to set up the Raiders in the red zone, and offense can't really do anything. It's just what we continue to talk about. The Raiders defense looks to, at least keep them somewhat in it, and offense just continues to be stale, unable to get anything going, and just a really tough showing. I mean, one more thing that I gotta say, we don't really hear the rumors as much as I think we should, but I really do think we're going to see Max Crosby get traded pretty soon.
Yeah, I know how Mark Davis, he mentioned he's not going to get traded. Look at how the Raiders are. It's probably going to be an option there. Brace the tank, see what you can, rebuild this quarterback position. It's killing the Raiders, man. This defense can't keep winning all the time. And now moving on, speaking of defense, a nice defensive battle between the Bears and the Commanders there. And this was just nice. Until 2 really great defenses coming into this game. To the rookie quarterback matchup there. The first overall pick and second overall pick. Exactly like just how I mentioned right now. DeAndre Swift, the Bears. This was the main reason why the Bears were getting it going on offense. It was another pretty poor game from Caleb Williams, only getting 131 yards on the pass game, which is what we're seeing for the first couple of games there. The past game, it was a little slow, really, really slow. It looked like Odunze was going to get going, but after that one catch that, had a big game there. But after that, not really, the pass game wasn't getting going. The O-line was holding its own for the most part, still having little issues there. But it was DeAndre Swift, 18 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. This was getting the momentum going for this Bears offense there. He was finally pushing it back after the last couple of games after starting off really, really slow. Didn't help me as much as in fantasy there to really get the win there. But aside from that, DeAndre Swift is give credit where it's due for this Bears offense. But it just came down to the bigger picture, the Hail Mary from this Commanders. I mean, Jaden Daniels had so much time to throw that ball. And who do you know who caught that ball? Noah freaking Brown, the former Cowboy. I mean, come on. You can't make this up. This is just poetry in the making there. But it was nice to see with Jaden Daniels having another stellar game in the past game, really getting the offense going. Terry McLaurin finally having a viable quarterback to put him in that top 10. In the top 10 receiver position of the season, which, there could be an argument for them there. All he needed was just a viable quarterback there. The run game, it was there, not the best. 65 yards for Brian Robinson. It was all Jaden Daniels. And this is the main reason why the Commanders, they're on top at 62.
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable. I'm sure, we could say, there might have been a couple holding calls that were missed on to give Jaden Daniels those 12 seconds to get the ball off, but
I mean, it's every week. Horrible officiating every week.
Let's also not forget to mention Tariq Stevenson. Going out talking shit to the crowd and being the one specific person that tips the ball to Noah Brown. I mean, Okama seems to win once again, but We'll move it into Sunday night. And Christian, this is your game, so obviously I'm gonna let you get back to backs. I know you're kind of numb to it, but I mean, let's hear your thoughts on this Cowboys game.
Yeah, man. I think I've matured to the point where I just don't react to the Cowboys losses that I used to when I was younger. It's predictable at this point. We had the lead 10-6 coming into halftime. The momentum was on our side. The only reason we had a lead is because Brock Purdy was struggling. We saw the underthrows. We saw the overthrows. They were driving against our defense. Good. Thankfully, we were stopping the run game for the most part, which is the one thing that was main concern. And then Jordan Mason going out with an injury. And then the rookie Isaac Guerrero coming in, putting a little more momentum in there. They went for that fourth down. He underthrew it, and I give the Cowboys the momentum there. But Dak, the interceptions, it's killing us once again. I'm just thinking to myself, like, I'm gonna defend Dak. You know, I already said it multiple times. I love Dak at the quarterback for the Cowboys, but it's gonna be too tough to defend them. We saw so many miscues, and again, I'm not gonna put the pressure all on him. McCarthy, wasting those timeouts, the clock management is just horrible with 3 minutes still left to go. And in the playbook, we're not explosive. You see the Lions. You see what the Lions did to us. You see what the Saints did to us. And you see what the Ravens did to us, even the Niners. Their playbooks on the offense, they're explosive. A lot of trick plays. Cowboys is just nothing. Simple plays here. Simple plays there. Little yardage there. Run games. Let's just run them up the middle. Let's not do some outside plays. Let's do none of that. Let's not do some trickery. That's what we need on this offense. This offense is predictable. This whole team is predictable. This defense, was it holding in their own? Yes. But at the second half, this was all Niners. And what did I say? George Kittle, for some reason, just decides to do well against this Brock Purdy. You can say he had a bounce back game against us, but he needed a little bit of help. He was struggling a little bit. The Cowboys, they weren't capitalizing off the Niners' mistakes. It was the opposite. Niners were capitalizing off the Cowboys' mistakes. It's really tough to see that we're down 3-4 in this NFC. It's looking really, really, really rough. We're third there. We're a couple games behind from the Eagles and the Commanders. McCarthy, I think 2 more losses, maybe even 1 more loss, is going to solidify McCarthy's firing from the Cowboys there. And Jerry Jones, this is the price you pay when you don't improve this team on the offseason.
Yeah, obviously, put it perfectly there. Obviously, I can't say much more. I mean, then, you know, you see the record right now, 3-4. Times are getting tough right now. It's getting pretty late. And, I mean, hey, I got to agree with you. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if McCarthy's gone by Thanksgiving, man. But we'll move it into the Monday Nighter. And Christian, obviously, World Series Game 3 was tonight, so didn't really pay much attention to this, but of course, you know, I had to peep it just a bit for this. And Russell Wilson, I mean, the choice to go with him over Justin Fields, it's looking pretty good. Obviously, Fields was inactive in this game. We're still debating to see if they were going to use him in some other option plays, but, you know, not getting to see that tonight. Maybe throughout the season, we'll get to see a little bit more of that. But, I mean, look, Wilson looks a lot better than what we saw in Denver. And I think we expected a lot of that. And, I mean, specifically that absolute dime to George Pickens near the end. I think that set up a 1st and goal. Just overall, I mean, we even saw him get Van Jefferson, former Ram, involved. Looks like they're having a nice connection in these past 2 games. But I think in large part, this offense, Calvin Austin, that punt return for the touchdown, and of course getting a reception for a touchdown. So definitely getting himself very much involved. Looks like Russ is really getting this team rolling. And I mean, look for the Giants. I mean, you know, they were in talks to get Russ. You know, definitely look at this. You know, what could have been for them. Definitely some regret, I would think. You know, you're stuck with Daniel Jones, which, you know, I mean, didn't play horrible in this game. And I think, you know, the one thing we do have to say, I mean, if you're gonna look at one play to epitomize the season, it's that 2-point conversion, which I don't know what the hell is going on there. I know there was the whole stuff about, you know, I think
there's miscommunication
been picked up. Whatever.
There's a miscommunication. So,
it reminds you of that Colts play a couple years ago. No?
Yep.
Not too much I can say about the Giants. Just a rough showing for them. I mean, just, you know, the Steelers. It's things are looking up. Looking like, I mean, we see how things are shaking on the AFC North. It looks like they might have a good opportunity. Yeah,
honestly, this Giants team, you know, you mentioned Daniel Jones. He played a great game for the most part. Obviously, his O-line was still letting him down. But obviously, the Steelers offense with Russell Wilson is just overpowered, man. Getting the pass game going. I'm glad Russ is good. Thank for him. I won $12 too, so I'm gonna hope Russ still stays consistent.
Yeah, of course, and we see him mentoring Justin Fields, so it's all looking up for the Steelers in this one. But
and then one more thing too, TJ Watt, another monster game. Cannot forget about that.
It looks like he's definitely setting himself up for that Defensive Player of the Year candidacy. But yeah, that wraps up another great week of recaps for our 8th week. They're already getting close to mid-season, and I mean, these predictions, Christian. You went 1-2. You finally got a win on
Thank
disagreements
God.
for this one. I mean, hey, look, 12-4, 13-3. We're on a pretty good run. We're doing pretty good overall. Just those disagreements. You're falling behind. You're now down 9. See if you're ever gonna catch up. Starting to look a little less and less likely. But that's gonna do it for
I'm
us.
gonna just pick the underdogs every single week now. I'm just gonna pick the underdogs.
See how far down you end up going with that. But yeah, that does it for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you like and subscribe. And we'll see you guys back on Thursday for Bean Talk.